Brunswick Tournament champions, formerly the Firestone, that will grace that field. Now here's a man who is locked into it, bowling in the semifinal.
High hit on the left lane, a 3-6-10. Mark has earned $8,870 this year. Brian Voss, $7,570. So even the loser of this game will come up with more money than that. $15,000.
Well, Roth on the comeback trail. Voss just off to a slow start this year. He's historically a slow starter, and he's had some injury problems, but he's back in shape in time for the big money.
Two of the all-timers head-to-head to be followed by another one, Walter Ray Williams Jr., and all members of the Brunswick staff.
One of our sponsors on the tour. Now here's Voss, who is really one of the great technicians of the game. Classic style, physically tremendously strong, but he's so smooth.
Leaving a 10.
Here's a nice smooth opening shot by Voss, who plays a little bit more hook than his opponent Mark Roth. Doesn't get the love tap on the 10. Players at this level seldom, if ever, will miss a corner pin on the right-hand side. But a good thing I qualified it. Missed a 10 pin to give Roth a tremendous opening in the early frame. Look at Voss. Stands up on the foul line, just lets it slide by the 10 pin, about 1/8 of an inch. And boy, does that make your blood pressure rise. Not only is it a little bit embarrassing, puts you in arrears in the early going, and you got a 33-time titleist sitting down on the chair behind you.
All right, our scout came over and took out that 10-pin bow in the second frame for Ron Voss.
Could have gotten this type of action in the first frame. Didn't happen. The head pin goes to the left sideboard, kicks off the sideboard, takes out the 10. The previous frame had got lost in the left-hand channel, and he went on to miss the 10 pin. Now let's see if Roth can get it going in the second game.
Another 2 for Mark.
People always ask me, what makes Roth so good? First place, Chris, I think in sports, as you see his style, you cannot beat the natural. Some people are just born to do something. Roth, born to bowl. But another thing is his great rhythm of his approach and that tremendously smooth and straight inside arm swing.
All right. Here's Mike Albee.
Thanks, Chris. Dave, couple 10 pins from moving on. Any intimidation factor from the crowd being so overwhelmingly favored of Mark?
Oh, no, they should be. I mean, Mark is just a great bowler. I tell you, it was a pleasure just being on the show bowling against him. And if anybody you can lose to is somebody like that has so many titles and so much talent that you learned to watch when you were young and watching TV, I mean, it was just great.
Good week for Dave Traber.
Very kind statements also.
Leaving a 4-pin, and David Traber's stock is going up. Not that it wasn't up high already. What a great comment to make about Mark Roth.
I agree, Chris, as Mark Roth avoids the 4-9 split here in the third frame. Been a little shaky starting the semifinal match. He goes high on the left-hand lane, leaves a 3-6-10, then he sends a little wide on the right-hand lane, then he kind of tugs that ball, so he needs to get going because lurking is Brian Voss.
Mark shaking his head. Didn't like what happened in that frame. Now, with a strike up, Brian can take a 1-pin lead. Open frame and a double and a 1-pin lead in our semifinal game.
Here's a man who learned to bowl at his dad's bowling center in Anchorage, Alaska. Just a classic style, Brian Voss. Look at everything in perfect position. Look at this. Now watch the action of his left arm as he comes through, pulls his right shoulder just in line with the target. And that's the kind of style, if you have a young child and want to teach him to be great, emulate that. Everything square to target. Some Sometimes you can almost roll them too well. He knows this is 3 in a row. He knows it's 3 in a row. However, all the pins didn't get the message. Struggled with the 10 pin in the first frame, missing it slightly to the left. Let's see what he does here in the fourth.
Hey.
Sent a verbal message to the pin as well. And all even is our match tomorrow.
Mark Roth, fourth frame, match even. Opponent is Brian Voss.
It's enough to shake your hand.
Roth looking at a couple of things. First time he accelerates his arm swing, which is his trademark on that particular shot, but he shot a bad rack, Chris. I looked down there as the ball was entering the pocket. The 3 pin was a little tight. Mark not recognizing that something, it just kind of slipped by him. He would have normally carried the 10 if that 3 pin had been just a little bit wider. He was entitled to a re-rack, didn't take it. Now he must settle for the spare.
Checking out the soles of his bowling shoes. Excuse me. Next up, the tournament leader, Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
Think about this field, these last 3 players. Among them, 62 titles, 230 TV appearances, and 7 Player of the Year awards. How about this? And here's the man that leads them all, Mark Roth. Right now, he trails in the match with Brian Voss by 1 pin, semifinal.
Again, that 2 pin. I think more 2s than I've ever seen.
I agree, Chris. They don't want to go high. Roth making a little adjustment on the left-hand lane. We noticed in the first match that it was the key to victory. Roth hit it very well in the second game. We have a little oil carry down on the synthetic lanes. Mark's been a little high, a little light. Just needs another shot to feather it in there. Hopefully he's still close in the match, which he will be, as Voss is not zeroed himself.
Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, Christy Yamaguchi, Victor Petrenko, and a galaxy of skating stars take the ice. It's the grand finale of the Fresh Look World Challenge of Champions, plus a key prep race for the Kentucky Derby as NASDAQ presents the Wood Memorial. A Canadian horse, Talkin' Man, may be the favorite. Ryan jumped on that one. All spares, 6 frame. Excuse me, he had a double second and third and a strike in the 5th.
Chris, a point that we've always noticed with Brian Voss is not only his main weapon is his physical strength, but he's such a good, patient player. Doesn't try to force things. He's shown that so far in this match. He's had every ball around the pocket for 5 frames, hasn't panicked, and he only leads